Harris is got a very special lineup coming this Sunday night on Fox News Channel. It will air here at 5 o'clock. This is going to be a town hall with America. Harris, great to see you.
Great to see you too, and thanks for kicking off with Katy Perry there in Firework, because that's kind of how I feel right now.
Right.
It's warm and it's always beautiful, and so are the people of Arizona. I'm so excited. You know, John, this is an important conversation to have at any time. Our current president has put illegal immigration and the wall system that he wants to build and all of these topics on the landscape. And then the news is kind of folded in with Kate Steinle and Molly Tibbetts cases. And so there are some hot button issues around illegal immigration. We're going to get to the heart of it with a live audience tomorrow night, so I'm super excited. Obviously,
Arizona is in play because of some key congressional elections as well as a Senate race that everybody is watching. So you're going to sit down with Martha McSally and Kyrsten Sinema. This is one of the most watched races for the U.S. Senate in the country. I take it that is the main reason why you're coming to Arizona.
Well, the main reason is to cover the conversation that's going on around illegal immigration in Arizona is such a template, if you will, a microcosm of a greater conversation and debate that are going on across the country, with sanctuary cities popping up in all sorts of states far away from the border. So the main reason is to get into that national debate. Along with that, of course, is one of the most fiercely watched races in the midterm elections, as you've just mentioned. Two women, two former military veterans, two people who have independent, loud voices in their parties, respectively, in a red state where a Democrat is trying to give a Republican a run for her money. It is all the things that the midterm elections are made of, which drive voter intensity for both parties. So I'm thrilled to be able to cover all of it in such a different fashion. You know, I'll sit down with each candidate. We'll have a live audience react to each of them, and then we'll talk about all of these broader issues with illegal immigration, the push to abolish ICE, for example, national security wrapped around, you know, some of the issues of family separation at the border. These are tough things to talk about, and we've got some great special guests as well.
Yeah, you've got an Arizona rancher, and you've got former Border Patrol folks who are also going to take part in this town hall. We should mention that it is at Royal Palms. There are not tickets available. It is already spoken for, sold out. But
popular. People wanted to come.
That's right. That's right. Having those two factions, having the ranchers, the Border Patrol people, that's another perspective that you sometimes don't get.
All right, so what that gives us is the everyday allocation of resources and how stretched and challenged they are along our border for Border Patrol. Part of the president's plan and what he's wanted to do is, yes, build the wall, and also use some of the money where you can't build a wall to fortify sections of the border all the way to California, as far west as that. So you've got those issues going on that the Border Patrol Vice President of the National Border Patrol Council, there are about 4,500 members that he represents. That'll be some really interesting conversation about MS-13 and the drug cartels and things that he deals with law enforcement-wise on the border. But then from the rancher who's joining us, you know, you hear this talk about, well, eminent domain. Look, he says, I want whatever it takes to secure the border because people are walking across his land, John, illegally at all hours of the day and night.
We've heard
Can
these
you imagine?
stories. Sure.
Now, here's a little surprise toss-in. Along with those two, we'll have a third who'll join us. She is a DACA recipient, a former press secretary for Bernie Sanders. Also someone who has had some experience with these issues from the other direction. So a bipartisan live audience. We'll talk with Sinema and McSally. And then we have a really interesting lineup of stakeholders on that dais with me.
That's great. Harris, you know, Trump won Arizona. That was not a surprise, but he didn't win it by a huge margin. There's all this
4 points, I believe.
Yeah, and there's all this discussion, and I've heard it since I've been here, and that's over 25 years, that this state is turning purple. Do you believe it?
Well, you know, from everything that I've covered, you know, I remember when Dr. Kelly Ward took on John McCain and came within 11 points of him. So there would be some strong argument politically wise and platform wise that it is not as purple as people think. But what I do think is true about Arizonans, and I have in-laws in that state and many family members because I'm married into an Arizona family.
Yeah, right.
They like good ideas. And you know what happens when you put good people together, no matter which side of the political aisle they're from? They're determined to come up with good ideas. And, you know, as we approach this town hall, I want voices at the table. We'll have independents or non-declared, I like to call them, they're not quite sure who they're going to vote for,
sure,
in the audience, along with Democrats and Republican voters. And these are people who intend to go to the polls, which you and I both know they're motivated. Those are the people you want to have these conversations because they'll decide things for people who don't even decide to show up to vote. So what I know about Arizonans is that they want to hear from everybody because they're in the mindset of it's not who's right, it's what's right. I say it on my program every day on Outnumbered Overtime at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. where you are. I say it all the time.
It's a great show.
Thanks, a little plug there. It is about coming together and figuring out what's right. And it's okay to have tough conversation doing that. It's absolutely fine to disagree. That's where I think Arizona is.
Yeah.
I lived in a purple state. I lived in Minnesota. It's a different feel. You will get a guy like a Jesse Ventura to come out of that political ilk. You know, it's a Walter Mondale state. It's also a Tim Pawlenty state. I think Arizona is more about where's the good idea and less about the politics of trying to make everybody kind of come together in the middle.
Well, listen, I cannot wait to see it. Town Hall America with Harris Faulkner Sunday, and it's at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock here in Arizona, and it will be videotaped or live from the Royal Palms in Phoenix. Harris, great to see you, and we're glad that you call Arizona home as well as New York. So thank you.
Me too. Thank you, John. All the best to you.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. Thank you, Harris Faulkner, Fox News Channel. We will see you next week on Newsmaker Saturday. Thanks for joining us.